Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm so happy to have back on again Nicola Vazquez. She has a brand new song out. It's called For a While, and I'm very excited to talk to her about it. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thank you, Austin, for having me on. This is always a treat.
It's a treat for me because you consistently release fantastic music and it deserves to be talked about.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Well, listen, since this song has gotten sent over, I can't even count the amount of times that I've listened to it. It's an
Oh boy.
intoxicatingly just beautiful sounding song. Um, First thing I really want to get into for anyone that hasn't listened, they may have not. What is the song about? And I guess what directly influenced the making of it?
I had this idea germinating like years ago, and it was one of those things where I had some lyrics and I had some chords and I had some melodic ideas. It never really went anywhere. It never really hit home for me. And I kind of put it in my guitar case, the handwritten lyrics,
Sure.
and shelved it. It was one of those things that got shelved, like so many things get shelved.
Oh, yeah.
Um, uh, you know, and what happened was people kept saying, "Oh, you should write a musical." And I thought, "Oh, that's not really my style." But lo and behold, a mutual friend of ours connected us together, myself and a wonderful playwright named Jason, who's a very prolific, very prominent, and he's written so much. And he loved my music, and I loved his words. And we really meshed. We met, and we just started writing this musical. And so this, I'm just sort of like backtracking a little
Yeah,
bit, the
all good.
long-winded story for how for a while it came to be, because it had this essence of like the journey, and you get to the top of the climb and then you look down and you enjoy the view, and but I felt like there was more to it. So this musical was inspired by the true story of a female lighthouse keeper in the 19th century named Ida
Wow.
Lewis. Yeah, in Rhode Island, Ida Lewis. And she single-handedly rescued many people in a rowboat, like a rickety old rowboat on the turbulent ocean by herself. She's been written about. She's super, super famous. She didn't want any accolades or any awards.
Sure.
She just wanted to help people and rescue people, and rescue she did. So this story was very inspiring. And the idea of lighthouses and who lives in them and what happens to people and the ghost kind of effect and the loneliness. And anyway, so out of this story comes the title for the musical, Esperanza, which means hope. And as we started writing and adding songs, somehow this song made it into the arc of the plot, where we had these two protagonists, Mario. I know this is a really long-winded answer,
It's
right?
okay. It's okay.
Mario and Esperanza, the lovers, and he writes her this beautiful anniversary song as a
Sure.
gift to her. Then he gets lost at sea. Okay, you have to have death and destruction in a
Right.
musical, right? For it to be dramatic. Then he gets lost. Well, we don't know if he's dead. He's presumed dead. And she sort of she hears the refrain of it, and she says, I'm not going to give up on him. I'm going to go out and look for him and see if he's, because we don't know if he's dead or not,
Right.
is see if he's still there. So the song sort of resonates, and it gives her this courage to go out and do something about it, because it was their song together. So the story of the song has sort of taken on a twofold meaning. It came to be. It served its purpose in the musical. Well, the musical is still being developed,
Sure, sure.
and we can talk about that later. But the song lives on as a journey, both in the musical with the protagonists and the arc of the plot, but also in real life, with love and that journey of making it to the top and sort of sitting down and seeing what you have and going, wow, this is amazing. This is the view. This is what I want to take in right now.
That's
So
beautiful. And
it's
listen, no, no, no.
long winded.
Listen, it's long-winded, but honestly, it's an answer that kind of deserves
Yeah.
the explanation based on the
Yeah.
the sound of the song. Because when you're listening to it, I think the song feels very hopeful. Um,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's an optimism behind it, and it's just the way that you're even singing it and delivering it that is like a forward-looking feel. I don't know, it's hard to explain if you haven't actually listened to the song. So I think once people
Right.
listen, they will understand that. Um, I also really want to talk about like the production and the mixing on this song because your vocals are very obviously the star of the show. And I think just in the way that the song sounds, they kind of rise above the instrumentation, not in a way that is overbearing or taking away from like the acoustics of it all,
Mhm.
but it sort of, how do I say this? It sort of like slows down everything else and brings the attention to what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Well, thank
So,
you.
in the actual like blueprint of making the song, was it always supposed to be like that? Was it always supposed to be like a lyric heavy song as opposed to like, shiny guitar riffs and synth solos and stuff like that?
No, I have to say, this really was a fly by the seat of your pants kind of a thing. I had the guitar part mapped out, the acoustic part and the essence of it and the
Sure.
lyrics. It all came together. But then I thought, I really don't want this to be just a folky kind of a song or just an acoustic song or just, I had this sort of like melodic, uh, I would say sort of this lofty melodic line. Now we're geeking out right here. We're talking about like technical stuff. Like, I'm sorry,
Love
I
this
can't
stuff.
geek out all day, but I know like people at home are like, what are they talking about? Um, so it and really necessity is the mother of invention, as they say, because I was going to farm out some of the electrics and have all these synths, just like you said, and make
Yeah.
it like really lush and everything. And I just didn't have the money to farm it out to people. So I thought,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this myself. And then I was like, oh no, I have to like write the guitar parts, all the
Sure.
electrics and get all these touches and atmospheric. And I was like,
Right.
I'm no Andy Summer. I can't do this. And it was really the first time that I had, maybe not the first time, but it was the first time that I really did it at this type of, to this extent, shall we
Yeah.
say. So there is some programming. And then we went for cellos because we had to have that sort of mystery and a little bit of the juxtaposition of despair and hope pulling at each other, which is what life is all about. And
Of
I
course.
I I love that in songwriting, when you have that push pull kind of a theory. And I thought, all right, so I don't have any money, so it's going to be really DIY. I am going to just do all of this. And it became a huge, huge undertaking to get all of that down and recorded.
Of
And it took a
course.
while. But at the end, I was super proud of the fact that I could pull all of it together and say that, hey, I did, like 80, 90% of it all,
That's amazing.
Um,
I
yeah.
listen, not to interrupt, but I appreciate the honesty. And honestly, like again, as a repeat listener, I can't imagine a world where the song is more instrumentally than it is now. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I think just as a casual music listener, there's a point where it's like you want to be wowed, like, oh, listen to this and that
Yeah,
groovy
of
bass line and
course.
whatever
But
it is. But
nobody
sometimes
cares. Nobody cares
nobody
about that
cares
stuff.
because
Yeah.
I think that your voice also acts as like another instrument in the mix. You know what I mean?
Uh,
It adds emotion to it all. And anything more productionally or instrumentally
yeah.
would essentially take away from like the stripped back and laid back beauty of it all. So even though I hear the, I hear the
I know.
story of how this song came
Yeah.
about
And you're like,
and it
what?
being a
Yeah.
financial thing, I think at the end of the day, it kind of works because
Yeah.
again, anything more would just be like, oh, she's trying too hard. She's trying to capture all
Right.
these different audiences, but the way that it sounds now is perfect. Um,
And
and yeah, there was,
I
yeah,
loved putting those splashes in. You know what I mean? Like I loved sitting there with the electric and going like, what sonic landscape are we on now? To further
sure.
geek out, and at the end of the day, I agree with you because you can put this splash in and that splash in and this, and
Right.
go crazy. And then at the end of the day, nobody really cares how you get to that point. They just care that it sounds sonically together,
Could not
And
agree more.
yeah. Yeah, right. And then sometimes, when we geek out about it, we think it's so interesting, and yet people don't actually think that's very interesting. They just think that the song itself, just the way it hits them viscerally, that's probably the most important thing. Or can they put themselves into the song? Can they insert themselves, their story? Like, oh, is this about me? Is this a universal
Right.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's one thing to hear about the meaning of the song from the songwriter themselves,
Right.
but I think also like the key to being a good songwriter is keeping things general enough to the point where people can apply their own meanings to things. Sure, you might have gone through this period in your life and
Hmm.
blah 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 whatever it's about, but for the 99.9% of people that listen who don't know you as a person, they're
Yeah.
going to listen to your words and be like, "Oh, that might
That's
have a
me.
part of me." So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's kind of the way to do it. Um,
And that's very much like the same. It runs a tandem line with like drama and
yeah,
movies and theater, where one of the biggest characteristics that you need in a story or a song or a piece of art is relatability. So,
completely.
relatability is like a huge, entertainment factor is good.
Oh
That
yeah.
always helps, but relatability, believability, and not all, I doubted myself too.
Yeah.
We all do, I was like, I don't know if this is really going to work. How's this going to be? And at the end of the day, as a DIY artist, an indie person, you have the freedom. You can give up all that, the structure and the stress and the deadlines of being on
Yeah.
a record label, and you can just produce what you want to produce, because at the end of the day, it's your choice,
It's
nobody
your choice.
else's.
It's
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
fulfills you. And yeah, you knocked it
yeah.
out. I think also the video needs to be discussed because it's shot
Oh.
beautifully. Like again, I think it kind of resembles the song in a way. It's not doing crazy things. It's essentially, a
Yeah,
live performance.
yeah.
But at the same time, you use these cool camera angles and camera tricks, and it shows off you as a musician. How did you manage to put that together?
So that's a really funny story, actually, because I met with two local artists, a director, multi hyphenate people who,
Sure,
do
sure.
everything, actor, musician, DP,
Yeah, of course.
videographer, and that's how we all are indies are doing everything,
Right.
And they're like local friends, and they said, we'll do this on a small budget, because I was like, I have next to no budget,
Yeah.
and this is what we can do. And we were going to film it outside and in my house. So what ended up happening was my house, we had a heat wave this summer, which it was like 100 and something degrees, and they were giving
Yeah.
warnings about, and that was the day that we were supposed to film. And it was so hot, like you couldn't be outside. It was just that hot. And in my house, the power had completely gone out. So I didn't know what we were gonna do, and that we had
Ay,
one day and one day only to film it. So it was like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then I was like, problem dot 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 solution. That's how I am.
yes.
And I called a friend of mine, actually the guy that co-produced the album with the single with me, and I said, Christian, please, can we use your house? I know this is a terrible ask. And he was like, sure, come on over. We trucked everything over, all the gear. I mean, we totally unloaded it in his house.
My God,
He
that's a
was,
good
I,
friend.
I totally, I feel like not everybody would do that. It just worked out. Everything that was meant to happen, happened. So we just did it. We shot the whole video in his house, in one day, and like you said, different angles, different
Yeah.
wardrobe, changes, nothing crazy. Would it have been nice to go outside and do like running through the forest? Yes, absolutely, but not in 105-degree heat. So
Exactly. For health
you know
concerns, it was better in an
no,
air-conditioned
I mean,
house, and it
I could
turned
totally
out
do
great.
it, but I think I would have looked melted. I totally
Yes.
would have. Yeah,
Yes, a
yeah,
very real
yeah.
concern. Well, listen, it turned out great, and like we're gonna have the links so everyone can watch it and enjoy it. But I think
Oh yeah.
really just like the tone of the video is as laid back as the song is, and it's not overcomplicating things. I am a believer of everything happens for a reason, and maybe
Yes.
sometimes it's 105 out and you need to shoot inside, and it all works out in the end. So
Well, there was that
turned out
scene
great.
in the kitchen where Christian has this like marvelous kitchen. So it's got this like circular kind of
Hmm.
door, and it looks like you're looking through, something
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I love
kind of
that.
cool. And the director said, let's go for like three different eras. And I was like, three different eras? Why do we have to go through three different eras? Why can't we just do today? And he was like, this will be more interesting. So
Right.
we did like today, whatever, 2025, and then we did, like 1950s or something, like that kind of, so that
Sure,
was
sure.
looking through the window. And then we did like this 80, he wanted to do like 80s, 90s. So that was really fun. I got to dress up and,
Amazing.
do all that. So, if when you're looking at the video now, it gave away the secret. It's like a comic giving away the bit, but
Yeah, still worth
yeah,
watching.
thank you.
Okay, hypothetically speaking, when someone listens to this for the first time, is there like a particular setting or place that you think the song is best enjoyed?
I couldn't presume to tell somebody that they should listen to it in their, bedroom versus by the ocean versus,
Yeah, I'm not
sitting in
saying
their
get a
car. Oh
plane
yeah.
ticket and fly to
Oh,
the beach or something like
that would
that.
be ideal,
But
of course,
in a
with a
perfect
margarita
world,
and,
yeah, because I
and
have my
yeah.
answer and
Oh,
I'd love
okay.
to hear yours. Like in a perfect world, where should people enjoy this?
It's funny. I feel like there's a drive to this, even though it's laid back and it's
Okay.
mid-tempo. I feel like there's a going somewhere aspect. And that's one thing we talked about with the director and the
Yeah.
DP and the videographer was like, there's this underpinning of drive. And I feel like that if you were in your car and you were going somewhere and you were listening to it, I feel like that's kind of a cool scenario. I always envisioned this as obviously as apart from it being in a show and wherever else,
Sure.
that feeling of the journey, going somewhere, driving, and when you're
Yeah.
driving, everyone has their soundtracks, that either make them go faster or make them
Yeah.
distracted or make them not think about the 8 hours in front of them left to drive, or whatever, the 10
Very
hours or
real.
that's where because if you go back in, or if you're listening for the first time, you will probably hear some of that rhythmic. That's something that I always put in all of my songs. It's very intrinsic and very sort of indigenous to most of my writing. I always feel that rhythmic underpinning,
Cool.
that drive. Yeah,
Yeah, my answer is, I mean, I
not
definitely
a drive.
considered no.
Yeah.
Totally has the drive quality. I am not taking that away from you.
No.
But like a scenic walk somewhere. Like it could be a
Okay.
beach, it could be a forest, it could be, I don't
Yeah.
know, but a mall or something like that. I don't know. When I listen to the song without even listening to the lyrics, I feel inspired. Like I feel that sense of optimism. And there is like this budding energy just from it all kind of building up and a confidence too. So when I walk through it, not, I don't think I would say like, oh, it makes me feel like a badass or anything like that, but it definitely like
Yeah. It's
is
not
like
a,
a
yeah.
20% shoot to the confidence. So walking through somewhere beautiful and being maybe a little contemplative or just introspective about something that's happening in your life, doesn't matter what it
Sure.
is. I think it would play really well, but it's definitely like the type of song that is multifaceted in that sense.
Yeah, like I don't think I would get on the treadmill and do a, like an aerobic run to it, but you never know because
You
like
never know.
sometimes, I'm working out and I'm listening to something that's like sort of mid-tempo and vibey or
Yeah,
whatever, and it just you never know how something's going to hit you. That's the thing about songs and about music. It hits everyone differently.
yeah,
And some people, it takes you back. It's that sense memory thing of where, like, oh, I remember when I was in that shop
exactly.
and so broke up with me, or that's such a point in time, that I can instantly revert back to. And that song brings me there,
Yeah,
or that song brings me to a place where I'd had hope, and I had a new love, that kind of thing. So you just never know which way it's going to go.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I think at the end of the day, there's no right place. if you're listening to it while you're driving or you're walking or you're doing laundry, it doesn't matter because you're listening. And it maybe
Right.
it'll inspire you to listen in another place. But the best time to listen to it is when it comes in your face or your phone or your car or whatever it is. So that's
I
the
also
best.
think that music, I'm trying to think there was a friend of mine who was a griot, which is like an African storyteller. You know, they play these musical instruments that are made out of gourds and
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
like long, like there's a gourd on the bottom of it and then there's strings that everything's handmade and there's singers and storytellers. And he said something, and I'm sure I'm going to paraphrase this, and it's not exactly what, the mythical saying about it was, but he said something to the effect of music sorry, words enter the mind. So the lyrics, in a
yeah,
song, but music enters the heart, and usually enters first. So a lot of times when you're listening to a song, especially a new one, it enters here, it just sort of seeps into the heart and the soul, and you may not even be listening or focused on the lyrics. Then you go
it's
back and you
true.
listen to it again, and you're like, ah, okay, I got the
There it
lyrics,
is.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk just a little bit about this impending play. We don't need to talk about like the whole
Yeah,
context of it, but
of course.
I
Yeah.
guess in terms of the other songs that are going to be released, are they going to be in a similar vein, or is there different story arcs, sounds, energies?
Oh,
what can you say?
I mean, I can say a lot, but like you said, we're not going to go into it. I mean, you can
Sure.
go to my website and
Yeah.
there's links to all of that, so you can find out more about that. But yes, to all of that, there's going to
Cool.
be a lot of different genres. It is a pop, rock, soul musical, which I am the composer lyricist for, and so some of the songs preceded this show, and they're going through reworking kind of a process where we're rewriting lyrics and reworking them and reorchestrating them and rearranging them for voices and ensemble, and then there's been some new ones, but yes, multi-genre. And there
Awesome.
is some Latin folk as well. So all of the styles that I write will be there. There isn't going to be anything, not that, I mean, we all love musical theater, but there isn't anything that, if I can help it, that will be anything remotely like, la, 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 la. It's not going to be like
Yeah,
that at
yeah,
all. It's
yeah.
going to be very sort of really pop, rock, gritty. There's going to be some hard edge stuff in there as well. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. A lot of guitar
Um,
bass, a lot of guitar heavy stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. I have a couple more for you. I want
Sure.
to know because, we're in the midst of October at this point, which is wild. But is
Yeah.
there, I guess, what is the plan for the rest of this year, if there is any? And then what is the beginning of 26 looking like?
Yeah, so the release it's going to be out on all platforms. So that'll be, and with the video as well. So I'll be promoting that, have been and will continue to.
Sweet.
And then I have a number of gigs lined up. I'm also curating this kind of, well, this is the end of 2025, but I hope to perpetuate this series, which I am calling, it's like a songwriters in the round, but it's called Music and Theater Innovators.
Okay.
And we bring together sort of cutting edge musical theater, pop rock people like myself, are like
Yeah.
crossing, blending the lines, blending the genres, trying to bring something new and cutting edge to theater with their music. And we do it in the round and we collaborate on each other's music, a little bit of a cross pollination. We already had
Awesome.
one series and we're going to do another one. And it's a chance for people to bring their new works into play and into the forefront. I don't know if I can curse here, but if
You say whatever you want.
oh,
There's
so
no
okay.
rules.
So basically, my motto for 2025 has been: if you don't fit into a checked box in this industry, CYOFA, which means create your own fucking art. And
Yes.
right, and
Love
so that's
that.
what I've been living by, which is I am gonna, continue to book my own tours, continue to make my curate and perform in my own series. I'm gonna write this musical, co-write this musical. I'm going to be in it. Put yourself into your art and don't let them box you out, basically, because I don't check all the boxes, never have.
Yeah.
So, and then in 2026, we were selected to be a part of a very, very prestigious residency called the Johnny Mercer Writers Grove. So we're going to go up to Connecticut, and it's part of the Goodspeed Opera House. It's really well known, and we're going to have 2 weeks to work with like a dramaturg and mentorship and develop the musical further with like a really, really
Amazing.
big platform. And I think that that's starting the ball rolling because we've already had one residency, and I think we're just building on that. And I feel like everything's crossing over. So, my pop rock sort of world and the theater world, and things are coming together. That's, I think,
Love to see
that's
it
what I hope.
happen.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. There's so much in the works. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, listen, you've spoken on a lot of things at this point, but I want to wrap it up here with essentially, is there anything that I didn't ask you about this song that you think is important for people to know before they check it out?
I mean, we covered quite a bit if you think
Yeah,
about it. I mean, we covered production, we covered the meaning, we covered the context, where it is, a lot about the video. I mean, we don't want to give everything away, right?
that
No.
is true. Sometimes the
No.
surprises are the best when they actually listen.
Yeah, and it's really great to have the opportunity. You give people the opportunity to really present their original music, especially indies, and we don't always get that opportunity, not being on a record label, a big record label.
Sure.
We don't get these type of opportunities unless people like you and we write about music give it to us.
Thank you.
So this is a wonderful way for people for us to get our music out and for people to get to know who we are and our music. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and please let me plug this one more time before we wrap up. So,
Sure.
if you've made it this far, which I'm sure that you have, the song is called For a While. By the time this comes out, the song will be out. And as always, we'll have the links everywhere so you can listen and share and follow along. But also, it truly sounds like we're right at the beginning. Like there's so much in the works and on the way, and you're clearly working your ass off to do it. So if there was ever a time to follow along and like watch this journey unfold, it would be now. So I
Oh,
thank you for doing it and for really like committing to it because it's such a difficult thing to do.
thank you. No,
You're
thank
very
you.
welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here to chat, and it's always a fun time. It
I
is.
agree. All right. Well, I want to thank you again. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk soon. Bye bye.
Okay, take care, Austin.
See
Bye.
ya.